on the Zero Hour. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and a lot of people this week, large segments of the population, experienced a collective trauma with, in my opinion, with the election of Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States. Words we are all going to have to become accustomed to saying. Now, here to talk about that with us is Sonjiah Davis. Sonjiah is a mental health therapist, and she is also a person who deals with these issues on a broader level, most prominently in her radio program here on We Act Radio, which is called Get Your Mind Right. So, Sonjiah, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Hi, RJ. Thank you for having me. I just saw you the other night. We were talking about this on election night.
We were talking about this on election night, Sonjiah, but at the time that we were talking about it, it was by no means clear that Trump was going to get elected. In fact, everybody was still saying it would go with Hillary, and people were even telling me, oh, look, there's going to be a few minutes of stress. There always is on election night, but then it's going to work out that Hillary gets it. Well, Hillary didn't get it. And I've been dealing with people who are just frankly shell-shocked by the whole experience. And I've now, when you and I talked Tuesday night, you mentioned that you deal with some children who have been traumatized by the campaign.
The thought of it.
Yeah, yeah. So, what are your thoughts, first of all, on how this election will? Let's start with the children, and let's just move broader after that. Okay. What are your thoughts on how this could affect those children?
Well, as we discussed the other night, I have a lot of children that I work with, and in my personal life, whose families are immigrants, and so this has definitely been a conversation that they have been having. And their biggest fear is that once Trump is in office, he's going to send all their parents back to their countries, and possibly them back to their countries. So this is a lot of them who were born here. This is the only life they know. So that's very, very it's a huge fear for them. And so one of the things that we have to talk to our children about is how the political process works, and the what ifs if if this is to come to fruition.
And it also strikes me that there's a kind of, I would call it a privileged view of therapy, mental health therapy, which is that somehow the problems are just in your head, and if we get your mind right, to use your expression, they'll go away. But the fact is, it seems to me that therapy for a lot of people in this society and other societies around the world can't make this. There are real world problems.
Yes, there are.
And it could be that if you're lower income, you're going to be much worse off now with the Trump and the Republicans controlling everything. Could be that if you're immigrant, if you're Muslim, if you're any number of groups may in fact be a lot worse off. So isn't therapy then? Isn't the job of therapy then to help people deal with a reality that in fact might be getting worse?
Well, I have to say that definitely we are there to help you kind of process things. As a therapist, it's not my job to give you the answers, but it's my job to help you kind of see what your options are, and then you make the decision as to what's best for you and your family.
When I was I gave up drugs and alcohol a long time ago, and I remember somebody telling me when I did that he always, whenever he's confronted with a crisis, because it's whenever you have a crisis that you're going to go back to your bad old habits, if those are among your bad old habits. He said, and he always would make a list, and he would always start it with, I can drink, I can go to Paris on my credit card and run out of money in 4 hours. Those were like his two choices, right? And then he would go down from that. Okay, so I guess maybe you're saying the same thing, which is that, okay, here's a new reality.
Yes.
Here are my choices.
Yes. And
then you decide among them, right?
Exactly. And it helps you, and I always suggest that people write things down, see them in black and white, because sometimes we get things all jumbled up in our heads, and then that's what makes us overwhelmed and causes us to have anxiety, and then we jump in and do something that's just not good for us. So make a list, sit down and think about, okay, this is the reality, these are my options, what are my concerns. We do this exercise that kind of is desensitization, and it helps you to really look at your fear. What makes you afraid of a Trump presidency, okay? And let's think about the realities of that. How is it really going to impact your life on a daily basis? And if you find that some of the policies that he says he wants to, put in place, that they will impact your daily life, then what can you do to circumvent that? Or what can you do to, work around that or make some changes in your life so that it doesn't impact you? One of the things that it's kind of go back to the women's issue. I was discussing it earlier with someone. A lot of women are like, oh, I'm going to lose my reproductive rights. So they're all making their appointments to go, get birth control. Those are things, it sounds small, but it's a huge thing for them. So it's like, just think about what are the realities. Let's, make a list of what you can do. You are in control of your life. This is the thing, is people feel like with this election, they're no longer in control. And this person, this monster, is going to be in control of our country. That doesn't mean he has to be in control of your life. And you are the one that still has some control over that.
So I would take that to mean it's not that he can't affect your life, because of course he can affect your life, right? But it's you're in control of what you do with it. Or as I used to say, you're not in control of the hand you're dealt, but you're in control of how you play it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, and the other thing that I get out of that, and because everybody is still, a lot of people I know are still just totally overwhelmed with this, is that as with any other crisis, if you don't really lay it out in your mind, and as you say, maybe by writing it out, it's like the monster in the closet, right? When you're a little kid, it's just gigantic and immense, and it's better to shine a light on it.
Correct.
And maybe it's just a
deal
kitten,
with it.
Or maybe it's a big monster, but you know what to do about it. Run or shut the door.
And you make that plan before you even go open the door. Okay, what if it is, and if it is, then this is how I'm going to plan my attack.
Yeah, my plan is don't open the door, hide under the bed. And again, we're talking with therapist Sonjiah Davis, but you were going to say something else.
But to that point right there, I think this is why people are in such a state of shock and trauma right now, because they have been hiding. They have not opened that door. And the reality is Trump represents what this country really has been about all along. And people have been in this state of denial and not wanting to accept that the reality is there is racism, there is sexism, there are all these isms in that this country has been built on. And so now he is like out here blatantly saying, okay, I don't like these people, I don't want this, and people are having to deal with this.
I was telling you before we started that actually it was a Buddhist friend of mine. My friends at the Buddhist Peace Fellowship, they sent out an email this morning saying things aren't getting worse, they're getting revealed. And in that sense, it's true. And the fact is, look, the question then becomes collectively, what are we going to do about it? You talked about how it might affect your personal life. For example, if your benefits are going to get cut, if you're on some program that you're depending on financially, what can you do to adjust your life, let's say, to respond to that? Or, you gave another example as well with reproductive rights. But then you get into the issue of, well, you think your society is going to get worse, or he's going to make some decisions that are going to hurt people, or he's going to invade everybody's privacy. You could do a laundry list of things he might do. Then I guess on the social level, the question is, don't we also have choices there too? I would say our choices include get organized, get active, do something, right? As our friend Kamon Freeman would say, do something, right?
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. I think that this is a time for, and you mentioned earlier about people, low-income people, and how it's going to impact them, some of the policies that he may put in place that will impact them. And I have a secret. Most people that are low income have had to survive hand to mouth anyway, and they know how to be creative, and they know how to get what they need despite what's been going on, because basically the reality is there haven't been really any policies in place under any presidency that's really addressed the issues of the poor. And so I think they're going to be okay. They just understand that, okay, well, this is the way it is, and I got to keep living my life, and I'm going to have to do what I have to do to survive. I think it's the people who are more middle class, maybe a little upper middle class, that are panicking.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and someone else said, who was it? I can't remember who it was that said the other day that after this that don't tell me how to survive, I know how to survive. But the middle class, you're right, it's almost a reflection a little bit of a luxury to be panicking in that sense. And I guess then the question would be, if is this a chance for people like that? And I might be a little bit in that category myself. You know, I was raised middle class or whatever you call it, working class, whatever. But you know, we were always fine. You know, that is there a chance to what's the word? Unveil reality for folks like that, to see the world that it. Yeah, you know what? You do live in a racist country. You know what? You do live in a country where privileged, powerful people are controlling the destinies of everyone. That is the reality. Now, what are you going to do?
Well, and that should be this election should be a challenge for those people and for them to say, okay, you know, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to make sure that everyone is okay? We have to understand, and I think I said this to you the other night, that we are all in this together. No matter what our financial status is, we are all in this together. We all have to live on this earth together. So we've got to figure out how to work together to make things, you know, work for the benefit of everyone.
Okay, I think that's great advice. And my last question for you, Sonjiah, is what do you think about? See, there's something that's bothering me now, and I can't see. I'm talking to my therapist, now. and I can't put it into words exactly, but my feeling is that there are a lot of, like, I would call them institutional Democrats. Okay, people who work for the party, people who comment, lean into it. They're kind of dismissing all these people who voted for Trump as, well, they're just racists. And my attitude is they might be racist, or racism might be an aspect of what they are, but they are also, some of them voted for Obama. So they are also, in my opinion, especially the lower income, working class, less educated, white folks, rural folks, and so on. They are also frightened, I think. I mean, to me, it's something like racism, hate, a vote for Trump, it's an expression of fear and anxiety also. And I don't know what you think of that.
Well, I think it's a fear that's rooted in many different things. Some may say it's racism, some may say it's sexism, some may say it's classism. A lot of people, I think, are really just tired of the whole system as it is. And I think for some people, Trump represented something different from the status quo. Okay, and I think that may have driven a lot of people to vote for him, even though, you know, he said a whole bunch of crazy things, you know. But I think for a lot of people, they're just so tired of the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes and you know, all of the career politicians and people that have been in this for so long. They were ready to move away from that, and I think that was a huge driving force.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think when Hillary kept appearing on stage with Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen and all the people, I think at the end people want to say, okay, it's you and your rich friends.
Yes, yeah.
You know, it backfired, I think.
Yeah.
But in any event, okay, so any last thoughts on, you know, the people who listen to this show? I think they're pretty left. They're pretty interested in changing the world. We got a lot of mixed people. Chicago, we got a big audience in Chicago and around the country. Any last thoughts for them on recovering from the Trump trauma?
Well, I would just say that, first of all, and I said this earlier, the election's not really going to impact people who are already out there doing the work. The people that are already out there, you know, working in their communities, trying to make changes, helping those around them, it's not really going to impact them that much. So I think that if we focus on what our power is, and I think a lot of people feel like they've lost power in that, you know, and so the thing is you still have power. You still have control over certain things in your life. Figure out what those things are and put your energy towards that. Use that fear, anger, angst, whatever you're feeling, and use it to fuel your own movement.
I think that's sound advice. It works for me. So Sonjiah Davis, host of Get Your Mind Right and mental health therapist, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, RJ. You have a great day.
You too. And we will be right back after this. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.